The question: The Deaths of Vic Sage, issue 3. Jeff Lemire writing with Dennis Cowan on the art. Do you know? If there's a book this week that suffered from, because this was actually not just the lockdown delay. This was already delayed before that, I think. So this was a huge gap.
So the 4th issue was supposed to come out the day this came out.
Well,
there you go.
Yeah, and I know Wonder Woman Dead Earth came out this week, and me and Pete were reading that beforehand.
That was a victim of the gap.
Yeah, there's a problem when it was already an extra few months, but these were both bi-monthly books already at best.
Yeah.
And it's just they just suffer, and this just goes to prove that delays can hurt books. We spoke about it a lot over the last few weeks that some books have fared better than others. Coming back to it, we've struggled with some things. We've not enjoyed certain books issues as much as we might have done if they'd just been on the normal schedule.
I mean, it's all very, it's case by case, because I feel like there's books that are so memorable or that you just like so much that no delay is ever going to hurt it. It's Doomsday Clock was basically bulletproof. From a quality point of view, that was bulletproof from the delays.
Yeah, I think when you've got that much in every issue, it was okay.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of just, the standard monthly books that we're reading. There's a lot of them that we've come back to this month and been like, this probably would have been better. We probably would have enjoyed it more if we'd just not had the delay.
Yeah, but that doesn't apply to these books, though, because Wonder Woman Dead Earth is like a 60-page book. In fact, one of the reasons why I said, you know what, I think I just have to let this be a victim of the gap is because not only do I barely remember the first 2 issues, it's also 60 pages, and that's a lot to get to. And obviously the question Death of Vic Sage issue 3 is, again, it's a longer issue. It's been a long time since issue 2. I think the reason why that won out quite easily is because I just like it a bit more. I remember liking it more. Jeff Lemire, of course, has a good track record with all 3 of us.
I like Dennis Cowan's art, and it's worth mentioning, I completely forgot when we were doing the news. He was talking about the milestone relaunch is back on track. The legal issues that they had have been sorted out. They were literally just sorted, and they were just getting back on track with the plans, and then everything shut down for a few months. But we should be getting a milestone relaunch maybe in 6 months, a year.
That's interesting stuff. So as soon as I started, though, I mean, there's a lot of details I couldn't remember, but I did remember we ended with like the noir setting. And that's what we got. And he's waking up and he's having memories of like a man with no face and a woman with red hair and
a man with 1,000 faces.
And a man with 1,000 faces.
Honestly,
what's it all mean?
That is to remind him of things was perfect for us in a weird way, right? That you see that and you went, oh yeah, that was a thing.
I still kind of forgot the Richard Dragon stuff that was going on, so when he popped up, I was like, who's that guy again? And then by the end, you end up remembering.
Yeah, it's funny because at one point he has a couple of like sort of flashback moments where he's starting to like see glimpses of the other like versions and the other timelines. And at one point he sees a TV studio, and I went, oh, I remember this. But it wasn't until the very end where I realized, oh, that was the original one that we started, and that's the main story is actually taking place in. These last 2 issues, issue 2 and this one, are basically his like weird like trip into the past lives of Vic Sage.
Of Vic Sage
to see the history of this villain.
And he's Charlie Sage in this one, and he's a private detective, and it's so noir, like down to the tropes.
Yeah, I will say
more noir as if it was black and white.
I will say this. I think this is out of all the settings so far, this is the one that actually, I think, lends itself to the most to Cowan's art. I feel like it really feels like it belongs here.
It's the one that most feels inherently that lends itself to the question as well.
Well, this is when I think of the question, this is what I think. Even though I, again, knows next to nothing about the question, he feels just with his getup like he's a 40s, noir, and then you start talking about the girl shows up, the redheaded, femme fatale, if you will, looking for her brother. Charlie takes it. She tries to pay and all this other, and I've seen enough of these movies to go, oh no, there's something up with her, right? And then so it leads it. Her brother was trying to unionize the factory that they both work at in Hub City, which leads to some problems. Charlie picks it up, and then it's that's when it starts getting weird, right?
It's like how he immediately gets jumped, even though
Yep.
he's not done anything yet to provoke anyone.
Yeah, it's
Right.
basically just the mere fact that he's looking into this. They're after him. They're after him already because powerful people don't want this to be exposed. So you're sort of questioning, like, how could they do it this quickly? Like, what exactly is going on here?
Right.
And I do like that there's a full page spread of him walking down the street in his trench coat, which looks very similar to the cover. He's not got his mask on, obviously, but it's a very similar image of him walking down with the Dutch camera angle.
It's gorgeous, isn't it?
So wonderful stuff. A lot of atmosphere here. He's in the alleyway of the rain. Looks fantastic. But he has this moment though when he's been beaten up by these thugs, where he looks over and sees Richard Dragon, and it's like
doesn't get up.
It's like he's entranced by another version of himself, where his face becomes the faceless question.
And Dragon calls him Vic.
Yeah.
Right.
And he gets up and starts, basically takes everyone on, and then he's left standing there after the fact and just being like, "Oh, what the hell's going on?
What just happened to me?
What did I just do?" So he calls it the one good cop he knows who's not corrupt to get him some info.
Who's Tot, which is his his friend in the real world. It's the one good cop, and he's been waiting for him. And they talk about the case and that this, there's very powerful people.
Matt, I'm glad you remembered that because I did not remember that from issue 1.
Yeah. And
knows his stuff.
The more that I kept reading, the more it started coming back.
It does come back to you over time, doesn't it?
I felt like Charlie Sage. Like, I think in his shoes here.
It did to a point. Joe hurt this, I think, a little bit more than maybe some of the other books where we started off feeling like, oh, it's been a while, I can't remember, and then it starts to come back as you're reading it. Is I think because this is in this like other timeline and it's so separate from what the original narrative is that you don't get as many contextual clues as you normally do. It's all these kind of like quick teases of things that you're like, okay, like there's not actually a lot of context here to take it on. It's just flashing the images here or there. So it's a little bit tougher, but I can't really blame the book for it. It's not its fault. It was a pandemic.
But it still stands alone. If this is just the story of the question, is Charlie Sage investigating the union busting, because he ends up, he gets some information about her, who's the girl's Maggie, right? About Maggie. They go talk to the mom, and the mom is like, well, no, this I knew they were going to get into trouble trying to form a union. They're going to be here. So she's at the strike. So they go to a strike. The factory owner and the mayor call the police in, and it's just chaos.
Right. Oh, the one moment,
it's on the way there that he has the flash of the Western timeline.
Yeah, the TV studio one was when he was getting beat up. It was just before the dragon appearance. It was that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's walking down the street and he sees the old West Town instead, which I presume is the exact same street, just
right.
Several decades earlier.
Probably. I realize this though because he kind of collapses against the wall, like it's kind of coming at him at once, and it's overwhelming him.
Right.
And then he looks up, and then we see what he's seeing. It's really well done.
Yeah, and kind of a riot breaks out because someone throws a bottle at the factory manager.
Weird how this lines up with events.
I know it's so.
And I've been listening to a lot of historical stuff about this, and I just listened to one about strikes during the 40s, and they were called riots, even though most of the time nothing had really happened. But in order to get the public on the side of the factory, they would call them riots and make it look. And I'm like, this is going on right now. What the hell?
Yeah. Of course, the difference being is that back then there was no people with phones and cameras and social media to kind of disprove what the story
and
is.
That's why I'm learning it now. 60, 80 years later. I
like how you just suddenly realize, shit, we're not in 2000 anymore.
No, we're not. Yep, I did. I had to do the quick math.
It's the thing. So anyway, he goes off looking because Maggie's taken away in a car, not to the police station. No, she's taken elsewhere. He goes looking for her. He gets knocked out, and he wakes up. It's all these druid-looking figures with the hoods on, and it's the same people that he had on his murder wall, the suspects, the exact same people. And he's taken to. I was thinking the CBS logo in my head as I was seeing this. To be honest, the eye thing.
I
can see it.
But he goes in and he finds this skeleton again, and this is where it kind of really ties into that first issue, the Zaz thing with the many faces, and then we get there's a gorgeous page where the two different versions of the question are behind them, kind of in the mist and the smoke.
Yeah.
And basically this woman who, although I think we see the real woman also lying dead in here after a page.
Because the many face takes the forms, and so of course it looks like she was a femme fatale, but it wasn't. So was Maggie? He has that question now. Was she the many faced person, or which one was he dealing with? So it just adds more to his questions.
I think my impression was that it was the real person when she went to the office to see him, but here it was a trick to.
That's the assumption, but the doubt is in his mind as to was this the ploy the whole time?
Mainly because we don't really have any other context for it. It feels like almost irrelevant that it wasn't really her the whole time.
Well, no, but again, it adds to that question of him and the name of the character, right?
The question you say, Matt.
That's ultimate, right? And so, and him dealing with the man of 1,000 faces, and then the new form it takes and crawls down the well.
The priest and it crawls. Yeah.
It crawls like I've definitely seen this in a horror movie. The way this is crawling, I'm trying to think of it to compare it to it, and I can't think of the movie. Damn it! But yeah, kind of like a contortionist would crawl around.
Reminds me. Yeah, I want to say The Grudge, but I don't think it is.
No.
It's along those lines, though. Of
Yeah. But of course, this is when he wakes up in present day with Richard Dragon. He's finally woken up from like experiencing this, and basically makes a choice that he's going to go after this enemy, this 1,000-faced man, this Zaz, and he has his question sort of face on at the end with the smoke making the question mark around him.
Yep, it's always a cool visual.
I mean, hell, it's a hell of a cliffhanger at the final issue, because I think I was curious actually. I think based on the way this was working out, where for issue 2 we went into this Wild West past, and then issue 3 is in this noir past. I think as I was reading this, I was like, well, how is this all going to wrap up in the final issue? But when I got to the end, and I'm like, oh no, this has all been building up to him realizing that the threat's right in front of him. Because again, it's been a long time since I read issue 1, and because issue 1 and issue 2 were so separate in terms of concept, but there was this like a serial killer or something in issue 1, right? There was like murders or something happening.
I just remember that it had to do with the mayor.
Yeah,
and that's what led him to that cult like area, and that's what started all the. So I think it was the cult as not so much as a killer. People were going missing, and that's what he finds.
Yeah, but the 1,000th face man's behind it all, though, right? So like the idea that there's this, that's who he's going to go after. This has been building up to him realizing who the enemy is, and hopefully he's going to be able to take him on.
I was just looking at how long ago the first issue came out, just for some context.
November.
20th of November it came out. So 3 issues in 8 months. By the time we finish this 4 issues, it'll be nearly a year.
Yeah. So it's good, and it's one of those things where often if I feel this way, I'll go back and skim things. The problem is though, is that every single book is this way. So I honestly have time to go back and skim every single previous issue.
Yeah, there's a lot, isn't there?
So that is what it is. But yeah, the art's fantastic throughout. I mean, like I say, I think the art's been great in all the issues, but I think it benefited this setting even more so than the other ones. Rain looked good, all the smoke effects look good, really fantastic stuff. But no, it's so readable, it flows so smoothly. I think I felt the same way about the Flash annual this week, is that this was an oversized, but this was 60 goddamn pages, and honestly, like I probably read it in like half the time I was expecting to, based on the page numbers.
Yeah, it goes in pretty quick.
Yeah, it flew in.
I thought as much as it was harmed by delays, mostly outside of its control, because 80% of it is this standalone story, right? And as the beats are coming together, you're starting to remember, especially the important ones. Like when it gets into the stuff at the end. It kind of functions really well in its own right for most of it. That even if you're like you've got this nagging feeling in the back of your head that you're missing some of the wider context, but it's still really enjoyable to read.
Yeah, I loved all the Norse stuff here.
Yeah,
I couldn't I remember the Western stuff and just trying to piece together, but just as a noir story, and especially with everything that's going on in the world and the stuff I've been listening to, it felt like I really felt the synchronicity at play here.
Yeah, I think the really spread out schedule does hurt reading it in single issues, but I do think the trade for this is going to read very well. And if not one sitting, at least a couple of close sittings.
Oh yeah. Because I'm looking now. The second issue was 15th of January, so it was nearly exactly 2 months between those two issues, and I remember that being completely fine when I was reading them.
Yeah. So the third issue was supposed to be March. It clearly got pushed a little bit, just for
It
normal
probably would
reasons.
have been pushed to April.
Yeah.
And you'd gone, we probably still would have managed fine.
No big deal. But then April, of course, is when no books came out because the world decided to change. So, really good stuff though. Matt, what are you giving this issue?
It was an 8.
Connor?
For the fourth book this week, 8.5.
Ding.
All right. There you go. Good track record. So that was the last sort of...
Wait, what are you giving it?
Oh, sorry, yeah. 8.5, yeah. It's a good week.